So here's the caddy. I'm going to be going over a couple things with this. It's a 1.6 turbo diesel. You can see the supermoto there. So I want to go over a couple things. I know people probably have questions on this. I just did a water to air intercooler and I want to go over some of the stuff. So let's get into it. Okay, so here it is. Take a look. Okay, so 1.6 turbo diesel. This has the K24. It's got the governor, or not the governor mod. It's got a super pump from Giles, injectors and stuff. I just want to go over the basic stuff. Intake. It's got the block off for the pop off valve. It's got the block for the pop off valve down there. So hopefully you can see that down in there. That's what that pipe is, or that block off, as you can see. So custom, yeah, I had to make up this. So I made a bracket from right there. So you got to make a bracket to hold the water to air intercooler, and then on the other side here, actually against this firewall, I have mounted. It's also got a mount on the other side as well that I've mounted up to the body side, and then this thing right here, this elbow. Some people had questioned if you can turn it 180, because as normal, it's flipped 180 and goes this way, and it goes right into the turbo from the manifold. But yes, you can turn it 180, and then I just use some RTVs to make a gasket again. And then I had to get a bunch of different couplers because, stuff from the this is all 2.5 inch, and then I think this is 1.5 inch, so it goes down pretty small. And then this one over here is like 1.75 or 1.7 or something. So yeah, and then so yeah, you had to make the bracket right there. You had to make, made the bracket out of steel, and then there was already a hole right there, so I just went off of that. There's that other bracket that was a different application I was gonna try. It didn't work out as well, so that's when I came up with the other one. So as you can see, I got stuff welded right here. Again, a diesel. These diesels, at least, I don't know about too many other ones, you do not need a blow-off valve, because diesel motors do not create vacuum like a gasser would, whereas the need for a blow-off valve on an intercooler is to release the excess boost that is suddenly pressurized in here, due to the fact that on a gasser it's got a throttle plate and it slams shut when you get off of the throttle, whereas a diesel, it doesn't work that way. So it's a little bit different. So let's see, I'll go into a couple things here. So I picked this spot for mounting, or for routing, the thing I figured, water to air. If it was an air to air, obviously you'd want it at the front. Water to air, it's back there. Got it all plumbed up. I went out for a test drive last night, and this pipe right here blew off, so I got to bead roll it or somehow, or just tighten up those clamps a lot more. So like I said, it's got the super pump, it's got the block off for the pop off valve, they call it. It's like a factory blow off valve, I suppose, or yeah, something like that. But anyways, so I got this mounted down here. As you can see, I didn't put the grill back on because I wanted to show what I did down here. So obviously you got your two lines. Obviously when you're making this thing came as a full kit from Frozen Boost, the intercooler, the pump, the radiator, all that shit came as a kit. This thing right here is just obviously to fill your water in here. I used Teflon tape in every fitting because I wanted it to be watertight. So I did that. Let's see what else. Oh, and then this thing, it comes, see how it's got right here, it's got a port, and then right here it's got a port. Well, it comes with this one right here. I had to go to the store and get another one because it has a port for a reservoir return, and I'm not running a reservoir, so I'm just using that. So I just had to block that off. And again, everything has Teflon tape on it for watertight, obviously. And then let's go down to the pumps. So first what I did was I routed all my lines directly to where they were going to go, and I didn't add the pump and the this filler up here. I didn't add those until later. I wanted to get my routing done. So then what I did is then when I went back and I added that stuff, I just you know, cut the pipe where I, you know, put it in line with where I wanted it to go. And then as far as the pump is mounted, as you can see, the pump down here, it's fairly simple. I looked it up. There's a little diagram. I think this is the output. This is kind of an input, I suppose. I mean, it doesn't really, I don't think it really matters. It's going to pump water either way. It doesn't really matter direction because it's all going in a circle anyways. But anyways, I spray painted it black because it was white and I didn't want to be able to see it that easily. I literally just have this thing zip tied in place. It's not going anywhere. I'm not really worried about anything. But then it is wired up. So brown wire is power, black is ground. They say to run it to a fuse, 2.5 amp fuse in line. So I actually have something inside that's 3 amp. I'm going to go switch it. You don't really want to go much bigger. 0.5 amp, it's not a huge deal, but not too worried about it right now. But anyways, so that's routed. I have that routed to, you want to route the power. You don't want to run it directly to battery or it'll constantly run. You want to run it something that only has power when the ignition is on. So I just took a simple test light and found that on the fuse block and in the inside of the car, and wired it to that way. So not too bad. And then what I did down here, hopefully you can see maybe down in there, I just drilled and tapped right into the body and then put some foam underneath so it kind of has a little bit of a anti-vibration, and then I just locked those down with lock washers. Hopefully you can see that down in there. But yeah, just drilled and tapped, just any type of bolt. As you can see, the holes back there are certain size, so you have to have a bolt that fits the hole. But I did get that mounted in there, and it looks pretty good. It comes with a fan, but I didn't have room to use the fan, and because this fan is so big back here, that's what I'm just going off of. So when that one turns on, it's going to draw air through this whole thing, so I'm not too worried about that. Here's the janky wiring that I kind of got right now. It's just going straight because I just wanted to see if it would work yesterday as my battery in my flashlight goes dead. So this is just going to a ground right here. I scuffed it up a bit, made a better ground because, you know, it was on a painted surface. You want to make sure your grounds are good. And then yeah, the brown wire, they're both white. It turns into white just because that's all I had. But this the brown wire, it goes inside the car through a little port back there for routing into the inside of the car. So let's see what else. I've got a turbo timer on the inside of the car. As you can see, there's one port right here that's going, you know, to the upper one, and then the lower one is the one that I have the pump into, and as you can see, it's kind of down in there. Hopefully you can see that right there. But yeah, as far as like plumbing and stuff goes, I mean, you just kind of gotta find out what works. I just used eBay 2.5 inch aluminum pipe, and then I just started kind of cutting it up and trying to get the angle, and then I had a local shop do the welding on the aluminum because I don't have that skill or know how to do that. But everything works good. Like I said, I think this one, I mean, it must be loose or something, because this popped out yesterday when I took it out. So I got to bead roll that and probably do that. But I wanted to go over that. I know a lot of people had questions about the water to air intercooler on these type of applications. So quick recap: flip this 180 from factory, bolt it down, you know, make another gasket or something with some RTV, let it dry. It does fit. This inlet for the oil return, or the oil return for the turbo, it is a bit close on the other side. I tried to bend it over just a little bit, but you know, it still works. And then another thing is this, for the top side, this is a vacuum line for the top of the diaphragm for the pump. You have to run a new line, because normally the port is like right here, so this hose is really short. So I just get some other stuff just a little longer, because the port is now on the other side. So for the added extra length, you got to do that. So pretty easy stuff. As you can see, I've got a catch can here, kind of a homemade one. Obviously it's homemade, they don't sell this shit, that'd be stupid. Instead of this going back into the air filter where it would burn, but then you kind of, you know, if you're getting a lot of blow by, that's going into the turbo, which is causing it to smoke. Instead I have it going to just a catch can, sort of homemade one, just a bottle. It's all zip tied and stuff, and then it's got a little hole for breather. So you know, that's the way that is. Let's see what else. I think that's it. So hopefully that was a bit more informative. As you can see, that's on there. Getting this pipe over here routed, because normally the tolerance for space in between this cover right here for the timing belt and the body is actually pretty small. I'd say it's bigger than 2.5, because 2.5-inch pipe fits through there, but it is snug once you put the coupler on there and the clamp. So I mean, as you can see, but yeah, so as you can see, I have this routed just right down in there. It's just zip tied right there, you know. So you got one pipe that goes right into there, and it goes right through there, bam, just like that. Easy peasy, Japanesey. I didn't put the grill on either, because I wanted to show, you know, what I did. I got gauges and stuff on the inside. Here's another picture of the outside. You know, it's pretty cool. I've put coilovers on the front. I did 2-inch lowering blocks on the rear. I can still go another inch down. They go up to 3. You got to do the stub axle turn, and then drill through the back plate of the plate where the drums mount. I did new shocks in the rear and new leaf springs. So this car is pretty much dialed in. I mean, it's got a couple things here and there that need kind of fixed and stuff, but as far as like overall, it's got, you know, good stuff done to it. I've done all the work to it. I got it pretty much completely stock, minus the motor being transplanted in here, because again, these in the US come 1.6 NA. This is a 1.6 turbo diesel. It's not an NA with a turbo, it's an actual 1.6 TD. So the guy actually before me, he pretty much did most of the, like, he did the transplant and the you know, all the Giles work, you know, sending out the pump and the injectors to Giles, having Giles tune that in Canada. But other than that, I made a different intake when I got the car. He had like some steel thing. Steel obviously holds heat a lot, and that's not what you want. So aluminum dissipates heat quicker and faster than steel does, plus the weight. Let's see what else. I've got gauges and stuff inside the car. Those are I've mounted boost gauge, EGT, and water temp. The water temp I still need to hook up. It's got the turbo timer in there. All of that stuff is wired into the ignition. It's so easy. I did all of this stuff in my garage with a test light and a voltmeter, just to be sure on, you know, what voltage and stuff everything is running at. and to make sure, you know, key on, key off, make sure I'm not doing something to constant power or anything like that. So yeah, as you can see, I got different headlights, you know, so let's see here, what else. This is a pretty solid engine, you know. I'm pretty happy with the way this stuff turned out. The tolerance back here is pretty tight. I'm gonna add some foam in there just so it doesn't like rattle the shit out of everything. But for now, you know, it's fine. Like I said, I got to take that other bracket out. It's just sitting there pointless. That was for something other. I was trying to figure out the way I wanted to, and then I was like, wait, there's a mounting bracket portion right there. I could just go right off of that. So that's what I did. So I think that's pretty much it. I don't know too much else. So these wheels right here, these wheels, they are 15 by 8 with an offset of 15. So they got a, you know, a decent lip, and then they got a good aggressive stance. And then the rear, because of the rear might look a little bit more poked out because it's got the lowering blocks, which are like a half-inch steel plate. So it actually bumps out just a little bit more in the rear, which is nice. Obviously the fenders and stuff are a little slightly different. But, you know, what else are you going to do? We're going to do this right here real quick. Hope you guys like this video. Click the subscribe and like button. Do me a favor, you know. If you want to see some more builds, comment. I'm always doing something to cars or motorcycles. So hit that like and subscribe button. Give me your feedback. Let me know if there's anything else that I missed or didn't address better. Thanks for watching this video. Bam.